Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today on Hashtag No Limits. I'm your host, Shelley Kino. Hashtag No Limits is about people that society puts limits on, but who have busted through those limits. As a former special education teacher and now as an education consultant, I see these limits being placed all too often. Ophelia said in Hamlet, "We know what we are, but not who we will be." I believe this to be true and that there is no better example than the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. The caterpillar literally dissolves into cells and reforms as the butterfly. As the butterfly emerges from its cocoon, it has to struggle in order for its wings to be strong enough to fly. Obviously, this is no easy process, but neither is breaking through limits that society has set upon a person. But just like the caterpillar, when we believe in ourselves, we can accomplish more than others might think. And if we have a support system around us to encourage and facilitate our growth, even better. I am very excited to share my guests with you today. Today I have 3 guests, which is a first. Normally I've only had 1, so this will be interesting for me to get all the gist of everything going on. 2 of the guests are musicians and will be sharing some of their music and talking of their journey of this point in their lives. The third guest for Lauren will be sharing how the organization Jazz Hands for Autism is helping these artists get heard and noticed. Welcome, everyone, and thank you all for being here today.
Thank you for having us, Shelley.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So for Lauren, tell us about Jazz Hands for Autism and what your organization does and what your role in the organization is.
Okay, so first and foremost, Jazz Hands for Autism is a music, education, and talent advocacy program. And we advocate to leveling the playing field when it comes to musicians on the spectrum being involved within the music and entertainment industry. So first, what is autism? Autism by definition is a spectrum disorder, and it refers to a broad range of conditions characterized by challenges with social skills, repetitive behaviors, speech, and nonverbal communication. But autism by experience will show you that those on the autism spectrum are bright individuals who just view the world through a different lens. So the mission of Jazz Hands for Autism, we exist to create. Music is one of the strongest ways for someone with autism to express themselves with others. Now, how can music really help people that are on the autism spectrum? Um, Music therapy in itself is a pretty broad subject, but all of our musicians at Jazz Hands for Autism, they all have a deep passion for music. Those like August who DJ, we have artists like Shane, also known as Starving Darling, who writes songs. We have a few other musicians who, are just into collecting music history and knowledge. And through this constant push for greatness that we utilize, our musicians continue to fulfill their passions. Now we have a variety of programs that we have at Jazz Hands, and there's many things that we do outside of just music education. A few classes, however, that we teach, they range around marketing, music lessons, vocal coaching, DJ coaching, social media coaching, so on and so forth. A few additional things that we focus on within Jazz Hands, like I said, outside of music education, is also going to be music creation. And when I say music creation, by that I'm discussing, the various points from, point A to Z on how you would release a song or release an album, from, the creation of the music to distributing the music to now finally marketing the music. Jazz Hands is there step by step, assisting our musicians and helping a lot of our musicians go forth with creating their own original compositions. Um, but our main focus at Jazz Hands is the Jazz Hands Musicians Academy. And the Jazz Hands Musician Academy is a wraparound artist development, artist promotion, and artist placement program. And we provide a range of classes that help musicians improve their musical skills, from technical musical training to performance coaching, music theory, music composition. And we even have a teacher training program for our students who want to teach music to other students. So we also not only do we teach music and, like I said, cultivate music, but we also cultivate experiences and relationships for our students to go on and teach music themselves to those also on the spectrum as well. Or outside of just our job coach and career coaching, we also assist our musicians who are focused on their own artistry. We assist them in finding their own gigs, their own events to perform at, all type of things. And I know, when we move forward, both August and Shane can tell you more about some of the gigs that they have played through Jazz Hands and how that experience has been for them. We also offer career coaching, work readiness training, social skills training, and some life skills training. And to top it all off, we don't just help you grow musically and leave you in the cold. No, that's not how it works. We help you find gigs and music based work. Our musicians have composed for the LA Zoo, performed for Congresswoman Karen Bass. They've released
Wow.
original albums, and they've spread music and joy to seniors even at retirement homes. The musicians we work with are all involved in their own communities, and that's the point of Jazz Hands for Autism, to provide resources that empower musicians with autism to know that they have something of value to offer and to share their gifts with their communities. So Jazz Hands for Autism, in a nutshell, like I said, we're just here to advocate for our artists because we see the talent within all of our artists and everything that they can do and can create. And we're here to advocate for them and push them within the music industry and within the entertainment industry. And honestly, completely change the definition of diversity within the music industry. A lot of times when you speak about diversity, um, you'll find out that most people will relay diversity to, your race, your ethnicity, sex, so on and so forth. But so many few times will they forget about neurodiversity. And, autism itself has the lowest forms of employment rates amongst
Wow.
any and all disabilities. If we're talking about those with who are hard of hearing, those who are maybe blind, physical ailments, things of that nature, even those with learning and speech impediments have been found to be hired at a much higher rate than those with autism. I believe part of that, this is my own personal thoughts, but I believe part of that just comes from just lack of understanding and lack of knowledge. A lot of times, those who are seen or are heard or are known to have autism are placed in this automatic bubble of this is autism, or
Right.
at least what that person may think is autism. But what I don't understand is that it's literally in the name. It's a spectrum, and
Mhm.
within that spectrum, of course, you have uh, those who are maybe on the lower functioning side, but you also have a lot of those who are on the higher functioning side and are no different than anyone who may or may not have autism. And truthfully, my own personal thoughts again, but I believe everyone has some form, of quote unquote autism. And many musicians that we revere today even have been found and have been known to have autism, from Michael Jackson to Billie Eilish to there's the list goes on and on and on. And you can actually watch. We just did a recent another thing we do at Jazz Hands, which I forgot to mention, is we are also our own production company as well. So just last year, we recently started our Jazz Hands TV series, and Jazz Hands TV revolves around some of our musicians. I'm sorry, is it? I mean, sorry, it was just getting loud
Oh,
by where I'm at right now. I don't know if
that's
you guys
okay.
can hear that.
Not too
But
much.
as I was saying, yeah, so Jazz Hands TV revolves around a few of our musicians, and it allows them to not only grow musically, but grow within the space visually. And one of our newer shows, 3 Minutes with Ifu, actually follows our director of operations, our founder, Ifu Nanyan Weke, as she pretty much um, challenges the definition of diversity within the industry. And we've brought along a lot of our we brought along a lot of our great friends from that we've met along this journey. One of our first episodes is with Grammy Museum coordinator Caitlin Nader, and in that episode,
Wow.
actually, if you go and check it on our YouTube, Jazz Hands for Autism, you'll see that we talk about that changing the definition of diversity, and we go on and speak about many artists and many musicians who have won Grammys, who are even now in the Grammy Museum, who have been known to have autism. And through this, just this understanding, this small understanding, that's what Jazz Hands is here for. We're here to just open the door wider for more artists with autism to continue entering the industry and be revered for being on the spectrum and still being very talented in their own right. And so you can check that out on our YouTube, Jazz Hands for Autism. That's also on our YouTube. That's also on our social media, Jazz Hands for Autism, on Facebook and Instagram. And then just closing up, Jazz Hands is just all about collaboration. And this year especially, we've been focused on just building more and more community with those outside of our own community. For example, we just recently did a resource fair with the Price USC School of Public Policy, and even in that resource fair, our director Ifunanya, she went on to speak with one of the professors of public policy, and just that conversation itself is the conversation that we're continuing to breed and continuing to spread. And even an opportunity like this, Shelley, to give us a chance to just talk on the No Limit podcast and show you that there are no boundaries that we feel can contain Jazz Hands or any of our musicians at Jazz Hands. We are here to continue pushing the boundary, keep pushing the envelope, and opening more and more doors of opportunity for all of our musicians on the spectrum. So I'd just like to thank you again for allowing us to be here and giving us this space to share with you. And I'd love to have our musicians talk a bit about their own experiences at Jazz Hands.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you guys here. And so for Lauren, you had shared with me earlier today a couple of videos. So Shane and August, whenever you're ready for me to share your particular section, let me know. But yes, Shane, tell us a little bit about some of your, well, introduce yourself to us first, and then tell us a little bit about some of your experiences with Jazz Hands for Autism.
Okay, hi. First of all, thank you, Shelley, for inviting me. I really appreciate it. My name is Shane. I'm professionally known musically as Starving Darling. My experience with Jazz Hands for Autism, I think it's, a really awesome program. I'm really excited that I found out about it. I think like 3 years ago, I was actually an intern with them writing articles about autism. And then Ifunanya asked me if I wanted to be in the program because I said I, played guitar and I wrote songs. So I originally came in there into Jazz Hands for Autism as a singer-songwriter with guitar. And actually, Jazz Hands for Autism is now producing my full-length debut record called Starving Darling, self-titled. And it's just a collection of my best, songs that I wrote over 10 years. I really worked hard on my craft as a songwriter. I wrote a bunch of songs more than I recorded, because you want to make sure, you you keep working and developing yourself as an artist, which is what I did. And there's a lot of songs, I think maybe 9 or 10 going to be on the record. And I released my first single through Jazz Hands for Autism called Hot Pink on Friday, I believe. And what really, one of the really strong things that Jazz Hands for Autism let me explore actually 2 years ago was piano. I fell in love with the piano and I love to practice, and I actually really want to teach piano beginning as a career, not just as like songwriting or a career for songwriting, because one really stabilized thing as musicians they can offer to other people is teaching. And I have seen myself like really grow in my life while learning piano. It's basically changed my life, and I feel like learning piano is actually rewiring my brain in a really positive way. Oh, wow. And it's served as a really strong coping skill for me, not only to get better at the instrument, which I love to do, but it also serves as a therapeutic tool. And I'm really interested in like the science behind music and behind piano, and like, because I just love everything about the piano, and it's a much different approach to the instrument as I had with guitar. Guitar was kind of like, okay, there's an instrument, express yourself on the instrument as a songwriter to like deal with the emotions. But with piano, it's kind of like, I want to be really good at this instrument and pour my heart and soul into it. And I just really love it. And I'm really thankful and grateful that Jazz Hands, what's really cool about Jazz Hands is that they let you pick the courses that you are interested in music. And I'm really excited and happy and grateful that I found the outlet of piano and the experience of piano, and hopefully I can give the gift of music of how the piano helped me to other people.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And yeah, I think music really is a gift. And for those who can sing, or those who can perform on an instrument, or those who can normally, and I haven't seen him comment, but normally we have a gentleman who is a DJ as a side business. He's also an EMS person, emergency response personnel person. And I mean, yeah, the way that they blend the music together to know what's going to work before and next and after. And I think there's a lot of healing that can happen when people listen to music as well. And so in hearing you speak, it seems like it's also in performing and learning that music can be healing also. So that's wonderful. Do you want me to share Hot Pink now, or do you want me to wait?
You can share it now if you want.
Okay. So I'm gonna, I didn't pull it up yet because I didn't want it to start playing in the middle of you talking. So it's gonna take me just a second to pull that up. Okay, so it's, oh, stop. Sorry about that. Okay, it started playing before I was ready. Let's get this. Hot Pink, here we go. Okay. Now, can you all see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Yes.
I think I pressed the share audio. I hope so. Let's see if this works. Can you hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a mystic night when your lipstick vibes. You kissed me
That was awesome. That's amazing. Oh, hold on. Went to the next thing. Sorry about that. I was trying to be all stabby with that, but it didn't quite work. So Shane, that's amazing. So how does that feel to see that you have a single out on YouTube, and where else is it released?
It's not released yet, just YouTube. I think it's nice. It's nice. I think, it's cool. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I get that feeling, definitely. So that was so amazing. So August, we're gonna come over to you now. You've been very patiently waiting your turn. So I appreciate that so much. So we have, oh, Shane, let me just share with you that one of the guests said they loved it. So, or one of the
cool.
audience members. So I just wanted to share that with you. So August, tell us about you and tell us some of your experience with jazz hands.
To begin, I have to say thank you for having me. Thanks to Falarin for informing me about it, because it's really cool being a part of such an incredible organization. Well, about myself, I have always loved music, and I've loved the sound of music. I started playing piano when I was 9, still do. Um, I let's see. After playing piano, I was classically trained. And in 2007, no, check that, 2005, I learned how to play contemporary gospel music. And I was minister of music for a Baptist church here in Venice, California, for the past, I want to say, it's going on about 17 years now.
Wow.
Yes. And recently, since 2017, I started DJing. And after I started DJing, I gained information about jazz hands for autism, and I thought, okay, this may be a cool program to get involved with. And I wasn't disappointed, and I'm still not disappointed by any means possible. They have allowed me to gain employment in DJing, DJing for a church. I've done an online gig with DF Dreams for Kids, DC, and hopefully after everything, if everything gets back under control, I want to see if Jazz Hands can accommodate me with flying out to DC and performing for them at an event. And one of my biggest things has always been to give back to the community, in the form of music.
Mm-hmm.
I also make instrumentals as well.
Okay.
I think that's pretty much all I have for this segment.
Okay.
Of the program. But if you need to know anything else, I'll be happy to let you know.
Okay. Do you want me to share the section of the video that
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So let me go through this. Oh, and I just wanted to say, Shane, we had another viewer say that you look like you love music.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I wanted to make sure to share that comment with you. All right.
Before you play the video, I also wanted to let people know out there in live stream land that I am on Mixcloud. You can find me at DJ Big Plus on Mixcloud.
Okay.
Enjoy my mixes.
Awesome. So when we come back after we listen to that, I'll have you tell me that again, and I'll type it over into the chat box. So I have two things open, so I want to make sure that I'm clicking on the right. Okay, that did it. I closed Shane's, and now I can open. Now I've opened yours. All right. So hopefully you're seeing the screen.
Yes.
Okay. And I watched it and then I had to go back to the beginning of it. So I'm a little, I'm starting about a half a second or so before you actually sent me the clip to start.
The streets to your eardrums.
It's DJ Big Plush.
Left your mark in a distant past, but somehow it's all gone now. Good things can never last. You are down for the third time, and you expect to change. Memories of your prime make life seem so strange. I wanna tell you it's my house and I live here. On this house and I live here. I wanna tell you it's my house and I live here.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. That was awesome. That was very, so is that all you just mixing everything together?
Yes, yes.
That is amazing. So
you heard a blend of my instrumentals along with an artist named Flamingosis, who is also autistic.
okay, fabulous. So we had a couple comments here. I wanted to make sure to show them. So keep allowing yourselves to express yourselves for all to hear and see. And Fran also said smooth. LA shared, that was awesome. Loved it. My kind of music. The first piece brought tears to my eyes, but in a good way. Thank you for sharing. So that's awesome. That's wonderful. So, you know, getting into the music industry is difficult. I mean, there's, you know, thousands and thousands of musicians. But I imagine that not only that part being difficult, but the fact that you both are both have autism makes that even more difficult. Has that been your experiences?
Who are you asking?
You can answer, both of you can answer.
Okay, yeah. It's kind of interesting in my way. I mean, I would say, in terms of that, I'm put limits that I don't really have. Like, I feel like a lot of, like my struggles in terms of the spectrum isn't really like what is really people would expect or I can't describe it, but I feel like, well, I mean, I'm not really in the industry yet, you know, so I don't know, but I know that I communicate very well, and I don't have any social problems or like communication problems. So I feel like if someone says, like, the first thing that someone might think is like, oh, you're on the spectrum, you have communication problems.
Right.
And that's really hard for me to see myself in that like box, because that's just not me. That's not what I deal with. Or so it's kind of like, you know, putting limits on me when I shouldn't have limits there.
Absolutely.
And it's really difficult for me because, like, I don't feel I belong into any box, because like many other people think because they're unique, you know. But for me, since I was born 4 months early, and actually I was born not in the womb, a lot of like descriptions put on me about issues are not really accurate because I'm such a unique case. And I think it makes me a little afraid, you know, going into the industry in the future. If I do go in the industry, or if I get a teaching job or something, it makes me a little afraid because I'm no people have you know these like traits on me or limits on me that I don't see is my presentation of how I struggle. And so it kind of makes me afraid because it's like they're not they're not like seeing me, like understanding me or seeing me or like where I come from, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I try to, that's part of the reason I want to do this show and continue to do this show as long as possible, because so many people do have those limitations in their minds of certain groups of people. And I feel like the more we can share and show that those limits are, and those what their biases, I think the better we'll be about keeping people from putting everybody in boxes depending on what label they give those people.
Yeah.
That's true. It's true.
It's really, it's really difficult because it's like almost like the person's not being represented in their full capacity, because although I have some traits on the spectrum, I'm not really like, it's very not noticeable. So it's like, if you know, I think I've explained myself well, but it's definitely like I never would, you know, tell a friend, oh, I'm on the spectrum, or tell, like, I just doesn't feel right because it just doesn't feel like I match that, like, personality, you know?
Right.
And it's really difficult because even though I do have a developmental delay from birth, and I have some qualities, they're just not like, I don't know how to explain it, but
that's not you. There's so much more to you than one or two characteristics. Yeah. And Fran, before we get to you, August, she says, breaking the mold, your labels don't define you.
Yeah. So I hope
true.
that, you know, you know, I think it would be really helpful if going into the future, if people didn't see people with disabilities as the word, they saw it as like, what can this person do? You know, what is their strength and what are they working to improve on, instead of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll have a guest on next month, and I'm gonna share his line that he says all the time, but it's don't diss my ability.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. I've heard that one a lot.
Yeah. And I you know, I really want to focus on people's abilities, because we all have just as many, if not more, abilities than we have things that we're not as great at. And just because we're not good at something doesn't mean we're not excellent at something else. So August, Shane, thank you so much for sharing that. So August, what has been your experience with the industry, and do you think that your autism has played any role in your success or not?
Well, it's been sort of a little bit of the same for me, whereas I go into things with an open mind. You know, when I was younger, you know, when I was like 18 to 21, I just said, okay, you know, it is what it is. You know, I'm probably not going to do much with my life. But then after I turned 27, it all changed for me. You know, it all changed when I started to get out into the community and to sing more. And once I started DJing, that really opened up my eyes. You know, I sort of use my autism as an advantage. You know, from getting a pre-board on Southwest, just a little tip. From getting a pre-board on Southwest to basically having people look at me and say, okay, you know, he's cool. He may have autism, but he's cool. You know, I don't allow people to, like Shane said, place me in a box. You know,
That's
because
awesome.
if you're placed in a box, you know, it can be hard to get out of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, as I talked about at the beginning of this, you know, I mean, the butterfly starts off in a box, so to speak, a cocoon, but the butterfly has to struggle in order to come out and for us to be able to appreciate the beauty of the butterfly. And unfortunately, I think that oftentimes we all have to struggle in some way, shape, or form in order to see our beauty. And so this is what your struggle is breaking through that cocoon of autism and sharing then the beauty that comes from those experiences and that particular part of you. Mine is having red hair. You know, people have always thought I'm going to have a really bad temper, and so I have to show them that I don't. You know, and so I think again, you know, the more exposure we can give to people, the more hearts we can reach, the more lives we will change. And so it's so very great for me to have you guys on and all of my guests every week, because my life has gotten so much better because I have had the privilege of knowing people of varying abilities for the last 25 plus years of my life. And so I want to share all of that with as many people as possible. And so having guests come on and be vulnerable and sharing your stories like you two are doing today is very touching and heartwarming to me, because I know it can probably be painful at times to be boxed in, you know, and be thought of as a certain way because of a label. And there's that saying, if you know one person with autism, you know one person with autism. There are not two people alike, no matter what characteristic those people share. Even identical twins are not the same as one another. So, you know, why we would think that two people that have autism or 1,000 people that have autism would be all the same is kind of sad to me. So we have a few more comments I want to make sure we get. And then Falarin, I have a question for you. So Falarin, actually, I'm going to let you think about my question because you might not know the answer. Okay. Why the name Jazz Hands for Autism? So, so Fran says, so true. Boxes are not comfortable. Definitely are not form fitting. Fran was on the show one time and we talked about the difference between bean bags and boxes and how bean bags are much more flexible, and she likes to be in a bean bag rather than in a box. And unfortunately, society is the one who puts the cocoon on individuals and then does not help in any way in the breaking out. Yeah. All right. So for Lauren, why the name Jazz Hands for Autism for this organization?
Yeah, so the name Jazz Hands for Autism just kind of stems from it's called stimming, and if you're involved within the autism community, you know, stimming is usually like a physical kind of movement that some artists with autism, some people with autism may have. And
I think
so,
August was trying to
Just
give
so
us an
you know.
example.
Yep.
yeah, an
I
Yeah,
example,
think you do this.
like this or like
Yeah.
you know.
I don't know.
And so, so Jazz Hands for Autism comes from the idea of stemming, and where some people thought that, this can also be seen as jazz hands. And so
Right.
there's this kind of
Yeah.
tying it back into, just the entire idea of just music and autism just having a unique connection and building on that. So if you ever see us at our concerts, we'll do that. When we used to have live concerts, we would do that at the
Oh,
jazz, our jazz hands. And yeah, it's just kind of a testimony to both autism and music.
Yeah. That's so cool. I kind of wondered if that was it, but I didn't want to presume I knew the answer.
I actually have to go. Yeah, I have a meeting.
Okay.
Oh, no problem. No
Yeah.
Well,
problem.
Shane, thank you so very much for being with us today.
You're
Good
welcome.
luck
Thank
to you.
for
And
inviting me.
yeah, absolutely. We will continue to watch for you. And we wish you, I keep saying we, like I have a mouse in my pocket or something. I wish you great success.
Okay.
And
Bye.
everyone
Thank you.
watching, you can find Shane's music at
Oh yeah,
Starving
Starving
Darling
Darling
Music.
Music
Yes,
on Instagram.
on Instagram.
Oh, awesome. Starving Darling. So yeah, Starving Darling.
Mhm.
Starving Darling with the G on the end, right? Not
Yes.
Darlin, Darling. Okay,
Yeah.
at Instagram. And
Starving
thanks.
Darling Music.
Oh, music.
Music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I get the word music in there.
Instagram.
Except I can't spell all of a sudden. Okay, at Instagram. All right. So I'll put that in here, and then we will let you go so you can get to your next meeting. Thank you again so much. So August,
Yes.
you had said it was DJ Big, is it 2 G's?
Yes.
Plush, and what was that on?
On Mixcloud and Instagram.
Oh, on Mixed.
Mix Mixcloud. MIXCLOUD.
Okay. Oh, Mix. No, I put the ED on the end. Okay, Mix Cloud and Instagram. So another couple questions, and then we'll probably have to start wrapping up. So for Lauren, how long has Jazz Hands been around, and like how many musicians have come through the program, and how many are currently in the program?
So Jazz Hands has been around for I'm trying to remember the exact starting month, but last year we celebrated our 6th year, and so we entered our 7th year this year. And I'm sorry, I forgot the follow up to that question.
How many artists are in the program, and how many have gone through?
So currently in our program, I believe right now we have about 20 artists that are currently working with us, and how many have gone on? So as we've continued to develop Jazz Hands, there's more and more that we're continuing to learn about how we can continue pushing our program, and then even assist our musicians past the program. And so right now, currently, we haven't had any of our original musicians who started off with the program kind of graduate and continue moving past. A lot of our original musicians are still currently involved. Even our original musician Ruben, who actually started the idea of Jazz Hands for Ifunanya, actually witnessed him playing the piano in one of her. She was also working as an IEP consultant. I believe she was in a classroom where a music class where Ruben had just stepped onto the piano and kind of wowed the remainder of the students in the class who were not, on the spectrum. And through that moment, that's when Ifunanya kind of she saw the specialties that Ruben was carrying, and she wanted to give him a platform to continue sharing this. And so even he is one of our original musicians who is still with the program to this day. But we are continuing to refine our curriculum. With COVID-19 last year, it really set us in a new and interesting space. In the fact of, Jazz Hands. Jazz Hands, of course, when we're discussing music, a lot of it is most of it sometimes can be digested in live forms. And so, from our concerts to, gigs that we were doing, like I said, our students may go on to different schools and teach as well. And then, every week we were holding jam sessions for our students to come in, practice their music, practice on for the concert, so on and so forth. And so last year, when COVID-19 hit, it kind of put us in an interesting position in terms of how can we continue everything that we're already doing, but in a newer format. And so that's how our virtual range started. And immediately all of our classes went virtually. August can attest, all of our classes are online currently. Our students have even claimed that they're benefiting more from a virtual classroom. And so even our concerts went virtual, as you can see through the video we played earlier. Our concerts went virtual, and they've brought in a lot more fan base into our community. And so we really just took the reins of just building a virtual community. And now we've pretty much solidified a lot of our curriculum into a virtual platform, which will soon be launching our Digital Music Academy, which will be launching soon to allow those who are 18 and below to enter into the Jazz Hands program initially, because I don't believe I stated this in the beginning, but Jazz Hands for Autism, our current music program, is offered for musicians on the spectrum who are 18 and above.
Oh,
and
okay.
So we don't really offer any classes for those who are younger than 18. However, once our digital music platform launches, we're going to be able to begin bringing in newer musicians and newer students earlier, so that once they're they've gone through some of our curriculum and they've we've been able to identify their strengths and their interests. By the time they turn 18 and they're able to enter into the quote unquote adult program, they're already kind of ready, and they know what Jazz Hands is expecting of them. So
Awesome.
that's just another thing that we've been continually to refine and just continue moving forward our program, so that once our musicians have decided that they've learned all that they could from Jazz Hands, and they don't need any assistance with getting gigs or getting jobs, that we can still be there for them down the road.
Well, I absolutely love everything that you guys are doing. How can someone who is interested in your program, I mean, you're out in California, I'm in Illinois. So like if I had somebody here in Illinois who was interested in your program, are they able to participate virtually, or is it something that they have to be in person?
No, yeah. So like I said, with COVID-19, we pretty much put all of our curriculum online now. So if anyone is interested in getting involved with Jazz Hands, or maybe even pitching someone to get involved with Jazz Hands, what they can do is they can reach out to info@jazzhandsforautism.org. Yes, and
Uh-oh, we lost him.
Oh,
Well, August, you may be finishing the show with me, by just you and I.
okay. I'm completely fine with that.
Because we just have a couple more minutes. So until Lauren gets back, so what words of encouragement would you give to someone? What would you have wished you had been told growing up?
Growing up, I wish I had been told that despite what I have, what I have doesn't have me.
Ooh, that's good.
Don't let your ability, don't let your disability take you hostage.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
Because I've always come from a place of my mother, she would always tell me, you're special, you're a light into the world. Ah, there he is.
All
You
right.
know, you're a light into the
You can
world.
focus,
You know, you're a bright individual. You know, and don't let that light dim.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I want to say amen. I mean, that your whole gospel tradition background, that spoke to me a lot.
Thank you.
So yeah, for Lauren, when your screen went dark, then I was just asking August like what advice he wished someone would have given to him growing up, and then that he would give to somebody currently. So we did info at Jazz Hands for Autism, and then you were talking about the virtual, and then we lost you. So I'll let you go ahead and finish that, and then
Yes.
we'll have to say goodbye.
Okay. Yeah. So I was just saying that if they're interested, they can reach out to us at info@jazzhandsforautism.org. There, they'll be in contact with one of our representatives who will kind of go along the onboarding process to see if that person is a fit to be within the curriculum. And then, feel free to follow us on our social media, Jazz Hands for Autism. Reach out to us via there, connect with us. Share our page. We're here to, like I said, we're here about this year. Our focus is collaboration, and so we would love to continue collaborating with anyone else who has something to say or share within the community. And so, like I said, they can reach us at info@jazzhandsforautism.org. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, and Shane, when she was with us, it was so awesome to get to know you all today, and for Lauren to see you face to face. We've chatted through emails and on the phone, so it was nice to put a face with the name. And everybody that was watching, thank you, LA. Thank you, Fran, for the comments and the questions. And if you are in need of an IEP checklist, you can go to my website, shelleykino.com. And if you are wanting to follow some amazing musicians, go to Jazz Hands for Autism. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you so much.